Hey, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show. Thanks for tuning in to the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM. If you're interested in sponsoring my show, you can send me an email to the MikeWagnerShow@gmail.com, or you could also donate to the podcast. Just go to the Donate Listen site, and you can also donate whatever you like. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. For those who are interested, Anchor can give you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. We've got creation tools, allows you to record and edit podcasts so it sounds great, and they'll distribute the podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere. Spotify, Apple, Google, many more. And you can make money from the podcast with no minimum listenership. So download the Anchor app for free or go to Anchor FM to get started.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show brings you famous celebrities and amazing people from all over the world. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. So sit back and relax and enjoy the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all you need. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, plus iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. And take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device and subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. We're here with a wonderful country singer from Waynesville, Ohio. He's compiled a long list of country hits. He's very popular in the Buckeye State. He's also in the Ohio Country Music Hall of Fame, and he's got quite a number of singles out, and he's also got his own program as well, too. And he's also a farmer by trade and just loves to sing about traditional country. And he was just rolling in the hay, beforehand, and just excited to be on the program. So what the hey, let's bring in the Garth Brooks of Ohio of country music, ladies and gentlemen, Richard Lynch. Richard, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I sure appreciate that. What a great introduction.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I remember my days of rolling in the hay, but of course, the good thing as well, too, just brings me back to some of my roots where I've been as well, too. And you're from Waynesville, Ohio, who's you compiled a long list of country hits, and you had quite a number of chart toppers, which just hit a number of charts all over the U.S. as well, too, in the indie sector and more as well, too. You rely on traditional country music, which is a great thing, and you're also a member of the Ohio Country Music Hall of Fame, the Independent Country Music Hall of Fame, also Billboard Magazine Emerging Artist, and you also have your own program as well, too. And before we get into all that, tell us how you got started.
Well, I was kind of born into the Country Music Hall of Fame. By that, I mean my dad was an incredible singer. I grew up around that country music all my life, and of course, he has never had the accolades or the titles that's been coming my way. But I knew at a young age, due to my dad, that traditional country music was something that I wanted to do. And, I always thought as a kid, everybody loved country music. I went to school and I'd be talking about Buck Owens and Merle Haggard and and Mel Tillis and all those great artists. They're like, what? Who are you?
But you have to mention Willie Nelson, though. Don't forget it, and maybe they'll understand.
Absolutely. But, I got into the music because, my dad was such an influence on me, and he's been gone for a while, but he really is. I mean, to this day, I still, I so appreciate the fact how I was raised and how I got to be involved in the music, and it was all because of him. I'm very grateful.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing, too. And, of course, I was going to ask as well, too, that you being in the Waynesville, Ohio area, and I was going to ask as well, too, just to clarify, whereabouts is Waynesville at in Ohio? Are you near the Cleveland, Columbus, or the Cincinnati area?
Well, I'm about 30 miles north of Cincinnati, and I'm about 18 miles southeast of Dayton, so that's southwestern part of Ohio down there.
Okay. All right. That's that got a good idea right there, too. And, of course, you know, you mentioned about, the moment that influenced you, too, is your dad. You also rattle off some artists as well, too. You had Buck Owens, Mel Tillis, and everything else. And who are some of your other favorites as well, too? And or maybe like or like your favorite TV shows or so involving country?
Well, I always loved just the songs that my dad had a huge collection from the old 78s. You know, back then Dad would have the collection of, Lefty Frizzell and Hank Williams and Ernest Tubb and Little Jimmy Dickens and on and on and on and on. But, my mom, she always had the smaller records. She had the 45s. And so I grew up listening to, the traditional country music. And then my mom, she loved the old 50s rock and roll. And a guy named Conway Twitty absolutely stuck with me as a kid, even to this day. I would have to say Conway is probably my largest, most dominant source to find that inspiration for country music. What a powerhouse singer. I find myself comparing songs. I do a lot of songwriting, but if someone sends me a song, and I always listen to what they send me, the people send me, but I find myself listening it, and I ask myself, man, would Conway Twitty have recorded this song? If Conway would, it's good enough for me. So I'm just looking for that great song. I'm looking for that storyline that just grabs you and, it captures you. Like I say, I do a lot of songwriting, and, I'm one of those guys that I listen to a hook, or I hear somebody say something, or something happens to me in my life, and I just got to stop right then and whatever I'm doing and write that inspiration, because, in 5 or 10 minutes, it's gone anyhow. So you better write it when it comes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's very important as well, too. And, of course, you also mentioned Buck Owens, one of my personal favorites. And also, I think another one, of course, we mentioned about, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, and, of course, Hank Williams, seeing everything else. And also, I was going to ask as well, too, and, you talk about traditional country music, and do you think that's making a comeback in ways somehow compared to the modern country?
Well, I know it is. I mean, people will tell you whatever they want to tell you. It's the industry. I've been told by a lot of folks in the industry that, there's no market for traditional country music. Well, I beg to differ. There's such a need for it. Everywhere we go, people they almost thank me. Well, I've been thanked from people around the country that says, hey, we were so glad that you have kept some traditional country music. That's really, I couldn't be anything else if I wanted to be. So I'm glad that they accept me for what I am. But the point is that there's such a need today for, music that has 3 chords and the truth. Mm-hmm. People want to be entertained, but they don't want to be sang to over their head. A lot of musicians find that particular song or whatever, and God bless them. I don't begrudge anybody, but I know my audience, and they want to have a simple tune and a simple melody line and a storyline to where they can connect with that music, and that's the direction I've always wanted to go. I don't want to overplay anything or be something that I'm not. I'm just grateful that I got to do this music thing, and I'm thankful that I finally learned who my audience is out there, and they're the folks that want to hear that traditional sound.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you have a song, too, called Pray on the Radio, which received Christian radio airplay and also reached the U.S. iTunes singles chart as well, too. And maybe just tell us about that one. It sounds like to me that I got to listen to it. It's fantastic. It sounds like that you're also making way into Christian radio as well, too.
Well, I am, and the way that song came to be, Pray on the Radio, we were doing a radio tour for a song that we were playing at the time. The election had just happened, and we were out promoting a song called We're American Proud. And we were doing a 3-state radio tour, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Arkansas. And we had done 6 or 8 radio stations, and all of a sudden my phone rang. We had just left the radio station, and my phone rang, and me and my wife were on the interstate heading west to another radio station. And the phone rang. It's my manager says, Richard, hey, be expecting a phone call here very shortly. There's some radio station in California that would like to air your song and talk a little bit about American Proud.
Nice.
So I was no sooner hung up the phone than the phone rang. And sure enough, it's this disc jockey in California, and he's talking to me, and he said, Richard, I've been reading about you. I love your music. And I said, thank you. And he said, as busy as you are, this was his words, as busy as you are, he said, I think the Lord must be traveling with you. And I just kind of laughingly said, well, I'd like to think so. You know, we're out here on the road a lot. And the conversation went on, and he was a very gracious host. And I mean, you could not have had a better interview. And toward the end of his interview, he asked me, now, envision us driving down the interstate. He asked me this. He says, Richard, do you mind if we pray on the radio? Now, I'd never been asked that before or since. Well, normally, there'd never be a pad of paper to be found anywhere. And we were driving my pickup truck, me and my wife, that day. Mm-hmm. And normally, you couldn't find a pen or a pencil with a search warrant in the truck. But there was a pad of paper right there between us two that day, and there was a pen looking at me right there on the dashboard. So I'm driving down the interstate, and I've got the phone in my ear, and I grab the pen, and I'm trying to steer, drive, have a conversation, and write this inspiration that just landed at me at that particular time. So, you know, I'm writing down this conversation. My wife looks at me like, oh, my God, you're going to get us killed. And she grabs the pad and paper and the pen, and she writes exactly what she hears. And you say, of course, she can't hear the conversation on the other end, but she hears exactly what she writes exactly what she hears that I'm saying to the disc jockey. And at the end of the conversation and the interview, we pulled off the side of the road, and I said, we just wrote a song on the interstate. And she said, boy, I'm glad we wrote this. But every word in that particular song is exactly how the conversation went in that radio interview. I'm just amazed how that song happened to me.
That is amazing, too. And wow, I have to say that, you know, I'm praying as well, too, that it did get on the radio. So
exactly.
That is something. And, of course, you also won quite a number of awards, and also talk about some of the other top 25 singles as well, too. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all you need. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, plus iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. You can take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device and subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. We're here with Waynesville, Ohio-based country music legend. He's part of the Ohio Country Hall of Fame, Richard Lynch. You know, just a fantastic singer. If you haven't got a chance to listen to him, just check him out. Richard Lynch Band and Reverb Nation, Facebook, and everything else too. And you've also been nominated and also won a number of Josie Music Awards. You can just tell us about that. And what is the Josie Music Awards?
Well, the Josie Music Awards, those folks are hardworking, well-intended folks. They have a huge desire, and they work hard for the independent artists to get the name out there. I'm so grateful that I got to be around them and to meet Josie and her mother, Tina. They're wonderful folks. So if you know a musician out there who wants to get some recognition and, always submit to those folks. They'll work hard for you, and I'm thankful that I got to be a part of that. This year I think we're nominated for 3 or 4 events this year. Normally we have done quite well with them this year. I don't think we received any awards this year, but hey, being nominated that's as good as it gets as far as I'm concerned. People recognize the music, and I'm very much appreciative for any format that wants to do that.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, it's also interesting, too, that you also got the song She's Got Me Drinking Again, a duet with Billy Yates, named Song of the Year by CMG Global Radio, nominated as Best New Group Duo for New Music Awards. You can just tell us about that, and hopefully you don't get people drinking on that one.
Well, I played music growing up, and right out of high school, I was playing, at that time, 6-7 nights a week between Dayton and Cincinnati. There were so many nightclubs, and we played all the time. So I cut my teeth on that real traditional sound playing in the honky-tonks. And so when I got in the studio with Billy Yates, he had written this song, She's Got Me Drinking Again. I could absolutely connect with it because it's just a honky-tonking, good time, feel good, let's have a good time song. Mm-hmm. And I got in the studio, and me and Billy just had so much fun recording that. And then we actually got to record a video just shortly after the release of that song, and then that added a whole other level of fun. And it's so cool to be around people like Billy Yates because the man has done so much in music. He wrote several songs for George Jones that top number one songs, not to mention so many other artists. And so it was a blast for me. He'd been a hero of mine for a long time, and that was just a lot of fun to be in that studio with him.
That's amazing, too. And, of course, you also have a song called Country Music Isn't Country Anymore, top 25 on iTunes Canada, and you can just tell us about that one.
Well, Country Music Isn't Country Anymore is the conclusion of my previous album. We had a 12-song track called Mending Fences. And a songwriter named Nick Nichols, became very good friends. He actually wrote 4 of the 12 songs on that particular album. And, once again, my direction is towards traditional country music. I had written 2 of those songs that made the 12 cuts on that album. And like I say, Nick wrote 4 of them. And I wanted something to just kind of conclude the album I'm making a statement. I want to make this statement that says, hey, listen, where's country music at? And I summed it up when I heard that song. I said, this will say it all. We'll put this at number 12, and as you listen to the album, you're probably thinking, man, this guy's country to the bone. And when you get to the 12th song, you're like, yep, he even says country music isn't country anymore. So that's the direction I went with that particular song, and I have no grudge at what anybody else does. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of grateful that country music hasn't been country in a while because it's created so many opportunities for me and my guys and others. I've done recordings with Rhonda Vincent and Ronnie McDowell and David Frizzell and now my latest record here, I did a duet with Leona Williams. Those are all my heroes, and I'm getting to record and be involved in the studio with some of these people. Man, it doesn't get much better than that.
That's amazing, too. You talked about Ronnie McDowell, and you also collaborated with him on a military tribute called Love Tattoo, which later inspired you to set up a foundation. We
did. How that song came to be, my wife has some good friends in Virginia Beach, Virginia, Chuck Brisbane. He had written this particular poem right when the conflict with Afghanistan was really starting. And, you're seeing images come across the television and news at night that was so disturbing with our young men coming back, shot up and stuff. So he went to a hospital. He's seen where a veteran had been shipped back to his area, and he wanted to meet this young man. And sure enough, Chuck went to the hospital, and as he approached the hospital room, there was a big sign on his door that said, "If you are coming here to feel sorry for me, please leave." Now, that touched Chuck very deeply, as understanding as it would. And he had a conversation with the veteran, and he went home and wrote this poem called Love Tattoo. Well, he sent the words to my wife and said, "Donna," that's my wife, said, "will you see if Richard will put some music to this?" So I sat down and I read his lyrics, and it's pretty powerful. And I realized that as I'm singing, putting my own music to his words, it needed a little help. So I wrote a chorus along with the original 3 verses that he had sent me. And the song just turned out phenomenal, powerful. Now, moved fast forward a few months, and I had the opportunity to do a show with Ronnie McDowell. And I've always been a huge fan of Ronnie. And I found out just prior to the show that Ronnie had done 3 tours of duty in Vietnam, and that so impressed me. So I went from loving the guy's music, and now I'm just loving this guy. You know, he can't do no wrong in my eyes. So we did the show, and we got to become friends with him. And I said, Ronnie, I've got this song that I've been singing here for a couple months around the different places I'm playing, and it's going over pretty well. It's called Love Tattoo. And I said, in my mind, it would make a really good duet. And if you would just humble me and listen to it and see what you think about it, if you're interested, maybe we could get together in the studio and record this. Well, sure enough, he got in the studio with me, we recorded it, and we donated, and we still donate every dime of proceeds that comes from that song to a place called the Love Tattoo Foundation, and that gives the Love Tattoo Foundation is where it started, I should say. But we found a place in northern Michigan called the Whirlwind Lodge. So the Love Tattoo Foundation takes the proceeds from the sale of that song, and every dime goes to help the Whirlwind Lodge. The Whirlwind Lodge is a 1,200-acre facility in Michigan that solely helps our veterans. It has a 60-acre lake, and they are there for recreation and to get some psychological help back to our veterans. And so in some small way, me and Ronnie feel like we've done something to kind of give back to those folks who are so deserving.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing, too. And how can people give to the Love Tattoo Foundation, and where can they find the website?
Well, if you go to richardlynchband.com, you can scroll down and find lovetattoofoundation.org. And at that point, you will be enlightened as to how this operates and how the Whirlwind Lodge is so openly willing to help anybody from World War II to any conflict of today. So if you know a veteran, because to me, the truth of the matter is 18 to 22 veterans a day are committing suicide, and I find that completely unacceptable.
Oh, my gosh.
So we can make some kind of awareness of a place that can help these guys and gals, I want to do just that. Like I say, this is a small thing that I'm doing and my wife's doing and Ronnie McDowell. But we feel like that, if we can do something to make awareness and maybe help one GI or two or whatever it helps, that we want to do something to put that direction to make awareness of this facility.
Any plans of a special fundraiser for the Love Tattoo, like a concert or, say, online or anything like that?
Well, we do several concerts a year. The first weekend in August every year, we go to upper northern Michigan, and we do a concert right there at the Whirlwind Lodge, and we raise money for the veterans. And what they do with the money is they'll buy golf carts, and they're in the process of building little cabins out there in this woods, and there's this beautiful facility that they have. It is absolutely amazing. And the coolest part about this is when we go up there and we do our concert, these veterans, they're so humble. They don't expect anything from anybody, and they're so gracious. And they walk up to me and thank me, and I get emotional thinking about it. But I tell them pretty quickly, guys, hey, this ain't about me. This is because we appreciate you. So thank you guys for what you have done. And like I say, they're so gracious, and they love the fact that people, care, and because they would never ask for anything. And so I'm glad people, are donating and being made aware of this place because it's so deserving for these folks.
That is so amazing, and keep us up to date on what's happened to Love Tattoo Foundation. Love to hear more about it. And not only you're also the founder of Love Tattoo Foundation, being an established country western singer, especially in the Ohio Country Hall of Fame. We'll talk about a couple of ventures and a couple I find amazing. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. And subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel and take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. We're here with a wonderful country singer from Waynesville, Ohio, who's had quite a number of country hits and chart toppers in the world of traditional country music. We talked about the Love Tattoo Foundation. We also talked about some of his singles and collaborations, also in the Ohio Country Music Hall of Fame. He's won quite a number of awards, and you also got a new album coming out. It's called Think I'll Carry On, and it was released most recently. You can just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm proud of all my studio albums. This is my fourth studio album released out of Nashville. And, like I said, I'm proud of all of them. But this one here has got a special level of pride to it because I wrote or co-wrote every one of the songs, all 12 songs on this. And, it kind of, if you listen to the album, you can see that this guy named Richard Lynch has got his heart on his sleeve on a lot of these songs. We talked earlier how much my dad made impression and still does in my life and in my music. There's a couple songs on there that I have written, that kind of talks about my dad and I'm realizing even though I'm writing these songs about my dad or my situation or my life or my experience, as I play them, and, we have people come to our shows all over the place, and I hear people say things like, "Oh my, Richard, it's almost as if you wrote that song for me." So what I'm getting at is I'm putting emotion and heartfelt back into the country music. I think today's music is missing some of that raw emotion that they used to have not that many years ago. Mm-hmm. So, whether I'm right or wrong remains to be seen, but all I can tell you is when you hear my music, you're going to hear a life experience, and I'm putting the happy, the joy, the hurt, the anguish back into my traditional country music. I don't know how to do anything else anyhow, so I really want it to be as if they're hearing that song and it's believable. Because I want music to be believable. Country music to me is supposed to be about all forms of, inspiration or sadness or heartbreak or whatever the situation is. It's supposed to be real, and I'm doing my best to keep that real life back into that music again.
Mm-hmm. You also have a single as well, too. You had 4 of the top 40 country singles from that album. You have one called Keyboard Cowboy. You can just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Keyboard Cowboy is a little song. I'm not going to word it exactly right, but you every family has a family member that's not necessarily got your back. If you follow what I'm saying to you, so he was putting on some really just incredible nonsense on the internet, and this is going on for some time, and. My nephew made the comment, well, he's just nothing but a keyboard cowboy. And this inspiration came over me. It's like, oh, get me to a pen. So I grabbed my pen and my pad of paper and my guitar, and I ran to the table and I wrote this song. And my wife had some lines in it also. But the Keyboard Cowboy is exactly how a lot of people, everybody has a keyboard cowboy in their life, I promise you. You see people putting stuff on the internet that they should not be doing. When they hear this song, all of a sudden it makes perfect sense. Oh, I've never heard the phrase keyboard cowboy before. Till now. It makes sense. So that's how that song came to be.
And I can hear Glenn Campbell ringing in my head like a keyboard cowboy. Riding on a horse on the star-spangled internet.
Well, you're not too far off, but we put our heart into this one, and we just had so much fun with that recording. My wife actually, I got my wife as a cameo guest on the recording there on that album, on that particular song. And she'll tell you she's not a singer, but she absolutely got in the studio, a one-take wonder, did her line so good. Because she said, we need to find somebody to do this song. I said, no, we don't. You just did it, and we're going to keep it just the way you did it.
Wow. and of course, I tried to sing it. I'm sure it didn't go over very well, but that'll be another time.
That's a little bit. Just shows a little bit of humor in country music. You know, country music is supposed to be happy and sad and all that stuff. So that's definitely a humorous song that's done quite well for us.
Well, you know something? Since we're on the subject of country music, some of the songs I'm trying to come up with, like the humorous ones, it's like, oh my gosh, I think you got me going. And the one old-time one, maybe back from the 20s, 30s, and 40s, you know, when vinyl was like hard as a rock or acetate, what was it called? Rabbits weren't supposed to get married. I can't remember who sang it, but that's probably one of the more funnier ones. Rabbits aren't supposed to get married.
Well, I don't remember that one, so I'm going to help find that one there, Mike.
or you have like who is it? Tex Ritter, smoke that cigarette in about what was it? St. Peter Golden Gate.
I do remember that one there. My dad actually had that record in his big collection. And my mom and dad had huge record collections as a kid, so I was listening to a lot of those wonderful old tunes from the day.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, Buck Owens galore as well too. It's like I actually listened to him from like you know from one side to another. It's like Hello Trouble, pouring into the coffee, and I'm trying to think of a humorous one too. It's like. I can't think right now, but maybe next time when I have you back on, I'm sure it'll come up as well too with the Buckaroos.
I got a quick story for you, and you're going to love this.
Okay.
The first time I was on a stage, I never got to see my dad perform live before, so I was 8 years old.
Uh-huh.
And we got to go see my dad perform, and he was playing in Dayton, Ohio with a guy by the name of Porter Wagner. Mm-hmm. Porter Wagner had a bunch of songs, a bunch of TV shows back in the 60s and 70s. So we're out there in the audience, me and my mother and my brother watching my dad perform. And he sang 3 or 4 songs, and unbeknownst to me, he pointed down to my mom and said, send Richard up here on the stage. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I ran up on the stage, and I did an old Buck Owens song, I've Got a Tiger by the Tail.
Oh, yes, so that's a classic. I love it. Got a tiger by the tail.
So here's this 8-year-old kid singing a song with his dad, and you might imagine this kid got a pretty good reception that day. So at that point, I was bit pretty hard by the country music bug at the ripe old age of 8. So
oh my goodness! And of course, when I refer to Tiger Woods, you know, Tiger by the tail. Yeah, get that tiger and get you into country music. That's a good thing. I love that song. Oh my goodness! And of course, you know, speaking of Porter Wagner having his own TV and radio show, you also have one too called Traditionally Lynch, and just talk about that. Sounds fantastic.
Well, my wife is absolutely the biggest fan. I mean, she's just my biggest fan. I'll just put it that way. And she believed in me and my music for so many years. And we started this farm. We have this farm here. We built this barn in 2015, and it seats about 350 or 400 people. And once a month, June through October, the warm weather months, we bring a Grand Ole Opry star to perform with us in the barn on our stage. And we televise every one of our events. We have it all filmed with a 5-camera shoot. And after every show, they'll go through and they do all the works that they do to get everything critiqued and worked out for a TV show. And then every Saturday morning, in Cincinnati, Ohio, they air on Star 64, Channel 64 in Cincinnati. They air our Traditionally Lynch TV show. And I understand it's being aired on a couple other networks. I think it's the Cowboy channel. Yeah, there's a couple other networks that has picked up our television show and has being aired as we speak. So, it's kind of neat that I get to do stuff like that, and then there's still enough interest in and around our area that would support a TV show. That's pretty amazing if you think about it.
Mm-hmm. And of course, where can we find Traditionally Lynch if you're on the internet?
Well, That's a good question. I would assume we go to richardlynchband.com to find that. And my wife just made me a little note here. If you go to Farm and Ranch on Roku television, you can find our program Traditional Lynch on Farm and Ranch Network also. So there's that. But I would say go to richardlynchband.com and you can see all the different variations and locations of the television show Traditionally Lynch. We've had a lot of my heroes at the barn here at our farm performing with us, and it's great to be, on television with some of those folks that I grew up listening to as a kid, and so that's really gratifying.
That's amazing too, and we'll check you out as well too. And of course, just a few more minutes here. What do you consider your most favorite project and the most challenging?
My favorite project, okay. My favorite project is something that my dad taught me. My favorite project is the last song you sang because, you left this, you get one chance to make a first impression on people. I think I always want to put my heart and soul into everything I do, and you're only as good as the last song you sang, so make sure you put your heart in it and give it your all. What was the other question you asked, dude?
Oh, okay, we talked about your favorite project. What's the most challenging you've experienced?
Well, the most challenging thing is singing some of these Conway Twitty songs that I try to do out there. That man can sing, man. So, I just have this little phobia. I want to make sure that I do that artist justice. I learned a long time ago, just because I love a particular artist and his song doesn't necessarily mean I should be singing it. You need to know what your capabilities are. Everybody has a capability. Everybody has a limitation. So I've learned what my limitations are. And so if I'm doing somebody else's song, especially on a TV show, I want to make sure that I have done justice to that particular song. You can bet on that.
I think that's something we should keep in mind, and you could say good effort on that, but yes, respect involved, especially with country music. That's a great thing. And what's your most memorable moment?
Oh, I always go back to that really early moment there with my dad. That's pretty memorable. But I've done so many great things with these people, these artists that I admire so much. I've played with so many of these wonderful artists that just inspire me, and to be on the same stage, like we just did a show recently a couple days ago with David Frizzell. I mean, one of my all-time heroes, and I can give you a list of an arm length long of how many wonderful moments I've had. What's really cool nowadays is that I get to involve my wife on the stage with me when we do this song, Keyboard Cowboy, and that's taken it to another level of pride. I'm so glad to see her because I didn't ever think I would ever get her on the stage for anything, and so that's pretty much pride on my end right there to get her on the stage with me.
That sounds amazing as well too. And besides your dad, who else consider your biggest influence in your career besides your dad?
Well, a guy named Keith Whitley was a big inspiration to me. I was lucky enough to do a show with Keith before he passed away, and I knew that he was from Eastern Kentucky, which where my family is. My dad's from down Eastern Kentucky, and I knew this guy was such the real deal. I mean, I was so blown away with Keith Whitley's music, and still am today, that I would say he's probably a close second to Conway Twitty, and I was lucky enough to meet Keith. I didn't get to meet Conway, so that's pretty special that I got to meet somebody like that. That
is amazing too. I love Keith Whitley's music, and his legacy goes on. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I've learned in all of my years is never take no for an answer, and make sure you surround yourself with people that believe in you, people that want to see you, people that have your best interest at heart. It's so important to be around people that believe in what you have to do, have to say, and they want to help you get to where you want to be. So don't settle for anything less.
That is very unique, and we'll take that to heart as well, too. Richard, just want to say a big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Love to have you on again soon. And once again, what's your upcoming projects? What's your website? How do people contact you? And how do they get a hold of your music?
Well, just go to richardlynchband.com, and you can go to our website. We're on all the networks, all the platforms, the social media platforms. Our website is there. It shows all our tour dates, our merchandise, interviews. It's a great place to find it. Just go to richardlynchband.com, and you'll get educated on me.
Definitely will. We'll check you out. And Richard, just want to say a big thank you for your time. Looking forward to having you on again soon. And do us a favor, please keep us up to date, especially with the Keyboard Cowboys.
It's a deal. I want to make sure that happens.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. Also, become a sponsor of the program and or donate today at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of The Mike Wagner Show.